Let's look a little deeper at prostration pose now. Prostration realistically can be seen as a variation of puppy, and quite often you would have seen this being just taught in puppy. But the difference between just coming into a straight puppy pose and prostration is the target area. So with puppy pose, it's going to be more through the front of the chest and maybe feeling a little bit of traction in the lower lumbar, whereas this one is mainly just going to be about the triceps and getting into the latissimus dorsi. So it's a little nuance that changes the pose a little bit, and that's why it's got a different name, prostration pose. Now, prostration, like Tibetan monks, that last final pose that they will come into, lying on the ground. So that will basically be the position. But the reason why I said it's a variation of puppy is you could very well do it from a puppy pose as well. So I'm going to show you the full variation of prostration first, and then I'll show you what it looks like if you take this in a puppy variation. Now, it's important to realize that we're using a block for this. You can skip the block. For those people that are going to get a compression point between your acromion, which is that sort of spine of the scapula that sticks out, and the humerus, we want to try and find external rotation here to help to avoid that compression point. And so the way to avoid external rotation, to find external rotation, and avoid internal rotation, is to use a block between the hands that keeps the hands more in this externally rotated position. Now, of course, you can do this just with the hands together. That is slightly, well, it's not really, it's kind of more internally rotated. So you see that, it's more internally rotated. And so we want to find external rotation, which is going to be more like that. So that's going to be the limit of a lot of people's external rotation, which is actually not that much. And so we want to find external rotation. And so use the block between the wrists, not the palm of the hand. So if I place the block between the palm of my hand, that's what happens. And so we may as well have not used the block, because then we've got the exact same slight inward rotation of those humerus bones. So we're going to find that external rotation, so block between the heel of the palm, like so, and the elbows ideally round about block width apart in that position. Now you can use a bolster here in front of you, just going across, and you're allowing those elbows just to drop on top of the bolster. So I'll just show you. So remember, elbows are shoulder width apart or block width apart, and then block between the wrists, and then you can just walk yourself down and come into your prostration. And this is a very relaxing pose, a slight little extension in the lumbar, not really the focus. And so if this is painful, then definitely skip this way of doing it. Maybe come into more of a puppy variation. But make sure those elbows are bent a little or a lot, just so you can start to get that triceps feeling. And again, we're getting into that latissimus dorsi, and it's because the latissimus is actually an internal rotator, so we need to externally rotate it, and then also extend the shoulder at the same time for us to target the latissimus dorsi. Forehead's down, just relaxing here. That's perfect. Now you can do the same thing from puppy pose, and I've shown you this variation within puppy pose for those that are getting skeletal compression. And so either one would be good in this variation. So elbows still in the bolster. I have something nice and cushy for the knee. You don't have to do that. It's just if you want to do that. I do find it more comfortable. Elbows down on the bolster. Elbows shoulder width apart or block width apart. Forehead can be on the bolster or on the ground. So whatever is comfortable for you. And then elbows bent back behind you as well. Now, the good thing about doing it like this, so if your head is down onto the ground, you're also going to get into an extra muscle at the back, which is a really tricky one to get into. It's called the levator scap. And levator means to lift the scapula, so levator scap. And so a little bit of a bonus one as the head drops down and the elbows go back. It presses into the acromion, presses the acromion back. The acromion is part of the scapula gets pressed back. And in that way, it takes the insertion, the origin, and the levator scap apart. And that's going to be your puppy pose. That's going to be your prostration pose with your puppy variation there at the end. So yes, it's gallbladder, side body, triple energizer, tricep, levator scap is probably going to be into your bladder as well. your bladder pathway coming up the back there. It also could be part of your small intestine pathway as well. It's a bit of a funny one. Hard to really say exactly which one that one is. And if you're having that little extension in your lower lumbar, you might get a compression point in the spinous processes sticking out the back of the spine, but that's okay as long as it's not causing you discomfort. Your spine is made to do that, and that's just going to be maybe even opening through the front line of the body, and it's going to get into your stomach pathway in your rectus abdominis as well. And yeah, prostration pose.